Really, really horrible idea to waste all your time on dating apps. Stop using them, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't use social media in order to get a partner. You know, my wife is a woman I met on Discord of all places, right? But I will say that going on dating apps is a really, really bad waste of time, particularly Tinder. Now, why is this? Let's start first of all with the Tinder-like apps. These apps have an explicit purpose of making you try and pursue sex. It is a promiscuity app. It is an app that exists by getting people into situations where they can have sex. Now, I know personally of one couple that was actually built through Tinder. So I know that there can be other ways that this can actually branch out. But the fact of the matter is that it's ultimately focused on sex. Now, focusing on sex and focusing on lust, which is the disordered desire for sexual pleasure, all this is going to do is it's going to place an emphasis on how you make the other person feel. Now, why is that important? Because if you're playing with somebody's emotions, because that's basically what it is. It's not like, I'm not saying in the sense of you deliberately manipulating those emotions. Emotions are things that are passing, right? And they also deceive. Especially lust. Like, lust and pride are those two things that deceive, right? So if you're going to be on an app full of people that are desiring lustful things, that is, disordered sexual pleasure, then you're going to be surrounded by people who are going to fundamentally misjudge you and judge your purpose in their life in a way that you are not going to want. If you're a woman, there's a good chance you will be objectified. In fact, it's very hard to find a man that won't nowadays because 90% of men are addicted to pornography. If you're a man, I suspect similar things come out of women, although a lot of the time women have more of an issue with pride than they do with lust. So if you're going on Tinder, you're basically stacking the deck so that you're going to end up with somebody who ultimately does not value you in an ordered way. That is one of the big reasons why you should avoid Tinder. Second reason, and this is Tinder, and this also applies to other online matchmaking services, right? You're judging people by a profile. Now, this is bad because the people writing those profiles don't know themselves very well. Because none of us know ourselves very well, right? There is a great chasm of self-knowledge that is lacking in, well, I don't know if I'd say everyone, but certainly the average person. So they're going to present themselves presumably in an honest way, but that doesn't mean they're actually presenting who they actually are. And a much better way of getting a sense of a person is to meet them in real life and to suss them out that way. So if you're going to use these apps and you're going to use text conversations, then you're getting an incomplete picture. You'd be much better served in terms of your time meeting people in real life. Third issue, text and frankly voice and internet communication, it kind of cuts off a lot of the nuances of actual discussion, right? Because there are certain, like for example, a living human being looks a lot different from a picture, right? Like when I first saw my wife, in terms of a picture of her, I had a far different opinion of her and how she looked than the opinion that I developed when I'd finally met her. And so I think it's more efficient in terms of time to meet people in real life because then you can actually see the real living human being in front of you and chat to them like that. The fourth reason why you shouldn't waste your time with these dating apps, and this is particularly if you're a woman, and the inverse can be said for men. Women can go on Tinder, and they can go on, I don't know about other apps, I think it varies to some extent. And you'll be bombarded with attention, right? You'll be bombarded with people who are very interested in a relationship, disproportionately based on the demographics of the website. This encourages pride. This, therefore, clouds the mind further, which therefore makes you less able to actually judge a prospective spouse. Same for men in places where there's a majority of men. I mean, this can even happen in real life. But the thing with Tinder And the thing with other dating social media kind of things, these things exponentially increase the number of people. And so that's going to cause significant issues when it comes to living an ordered life, particularly if you're an attractive young woman. Now, why is there all of this emphasis on me talking? Because I'm obviously making an assumption here that you want a long-term partnership. And that's because you really should. This promiscuity, this one-night stand stuff, a really, really stupid idea. I'm not about to pretend that people can just live life as they want. They shouldn't, because human beings have a certain set nature, and when you disobey that nature, bad things happen. So I'm not going to pretend that you can just live and let live, because that's just not true, right? Now, promiscuity is one of those things that destroys human beings, because as I've said throughout this video, it is something that is going to ingrain you further into pride, which is going to blind you to the world around you further, and it will also strengthen lust, which has the added impact not only of enforcing pride further, but also because it will make you despair. If you live a hedonistic lifestyle, like hedonism and nihilism go hand in hand. I think that it's almost a meme, right? So if you live a promiscuous life through something like Tinder, you are only digging your own grave, because you will eventually feel used up. And I don't care if you're a woman or a man, this applies as much to men as it does to women, right? You will eventually feel like used up. You'll feel like you have no connections to other human beings, because lust, what it makes you do is it makes you misjudge other human beings as merely a source of pleasure, and you will just not be living a good life. And so the solution to this is to find a long-term spouse who you can actually put their internal value over their looks. Because, in the words of St. John Chrysostom, you will get bored, or to paraphrase him rather, you will get bored of an attractive woman eventually. Looks only last a year, and you'll eventually get sick of her, right? Same with women. If you've got like some sort of cute hot guy, you'll eventually get sick of the cuteness and the hotness. If that's the only thing attracting you to him, or his power, probably. If he's an insufferable human being, then you're going to eventually notice how insufferable he is. And then, if you're stuck to him in any way, that's just going to hurt. I don't think it takes a genius to figure that out, right? But if you pursue people on the basis of virtue, on the basis of good character traits, then you will be happier, because virtue, when it's lived by a good person, grow over the course of years, and therefore if you're attracted to the virtue in that person, then you will find them more attractive as you get older, especially as you get older, because these good looks, they fade like flowers of the field, right? But these virtues will build on top of each other regardless of the age of that person. So you should be pursuing virtue, and this promiscuity is something that acts contrary to that. Alright, that's the video. Take care. Bye-bye.